Hey, well, I think that we're live.
We are.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you guys. What is this? Is this Tuesday? I can't remember.
Yes, it's Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, y'all, and thanks for joining us.
In Australia, it's Wednesday.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I forgot. So how are you today, my dear friend, Robert Clancy?
I'm absolutely wonderful. And, today it's going to be amazing. We're going to start it out because this show is about mindset resets. So I really want to get into that. But I think you should introduce yourself first and tell everyone who you are.
Let me know if my mic's breaking up too. I'm using my podcast mic and it's a little boomy. But
You're
okay,
fine.
I love that. You're so smooth, Robert. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, you guys. So for those of you who don't know what Robert and I do, and we've been collaborating on some projects together, which is really cool. It's such a blessing. Spirit has just brought us together and some other brilliant beings. And so this is such a joy and an honor to be here. And we're here to serve you. Want you guys to know that as well. I'm Lisa Winston, and I'll give you a little background. I was a professional vocalist for 40 years and went to school to be an elementary teacher, had a life full of a lot of crazy, challenging stuff. And Spirit really kicked in because I knew I was here for a greater purpose. And so I really went in search of that and started hearing Spirit's voice. And, moved into my coaching mentoring about 5-6 years ago, I guess. And so I've been an authenticity coach for several years, but I'm being moved in a whole different direction, more of a spiritual teacher, moving into speaking, inspirational speaking, projects, workshops. I feel like I've been playing small for a lot of years, and Spirit pretty much said that, recently. And so I was like, okay, I don't know what that looks like, but I'm just opening my hands up and moving, Robert, right? Because that's how you've been living too. Moving into a whole new something, whatever that looks like, and just saying yes to things. So I'm still coaching people, mentoring people, doing programs. But again, we can share a little more as our things go on, but we have some amazing collaborations going on. And so, yes, I'm a coach, a mentor, and a whatever's next person, that's
the beauty
happening
of
for
life. And it's really that unfolding. And that's about mindset. It's about where you're going with that life and trusting the signs that you see. And how many people out there, how many of you are thinking about that and where you are in your life? And I've seen lawyers reevaluate and say, I'm now going to do X, or take their law practice in a new direction.
Yeah. Or leave it all together, right? You never know, right?
Yes. And for those of you that don't know, I'm Robert Clancy. I run the Robert Clancy Guide to the Soul Facebook page. I started that in 2012 when my first book came out. And I've kind of walked this path to share with the world. And I am just so deeply honored by the people that communicate to me through my page. There's over 660,000 people on the page around the world. And, one thing that I've discovered through this journey of writing these inspirational posts is that everyone in every continent knows one word: love. And we're all exploring what that is. And that's really why we're here. And the mindset of changing, those things. And I'm also a marketing professional. I'm a programmer. So I'm very wired as a digital guy too. So I've got
thank goodness, because I sure need him.
Side, and I have the spiritual side, and you can just call me center brained because I have both halves equal. And what I love to do is I just look at everything and try to view it in a different way. And when I write my posts or share something on my page or share something on the shows that I'm on, it's about transformation. It's about discovering what your life is about and discovering that beautiful word love through everything that we do.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And my word, juicy, juicy, juicy. That's, and I love that. That is so true. When you said that, the foundation of all is love, because, it's that divine love within us. If we don't have that, if we don't feel that, then it's really hard to feel that for ourselves and share that out with other people. That's been my journey as well. So
that's why I call it Guide to the Soul, because it's the inward journey. It's just as deep as the outward journey. And when you start journeying inside, that's where all the magic happens. And I see the light within. When you meditate, it's all coming in and driven through that. And anytime that you get off track, let's say you exit your highway and your life path, or there's construction in the road. And you're having one of those moments now. You have to fly and move clear across the country in the United States from West Coast to East Coast,
Yeah.
because of something that's going on in your life right now. And it's important to understand that we're all going through something.
Yes.
And it's how you deal with it, and it's
Yes.
the mindset of rising above or taking the challenge. And before I let them, hear your story, there was this young man that I met when I was volunteering, and he was 15, 16 years old, but he looked like he was 12. He had a disease that really stunted him. And I walked over to him, and his dad said, how old are all the kids here? And they're all the same age. They're all 15 and 16. And he said, Dad, they're the same age as me. They just have bigger shoe sizes. And
Wow.
humor and he had oxygen with him. And I remember him taking this journey, and he came to me. We had to walk several blocks, and I said, are you okay to do this? And he said, I'm volunteering today. I'm going to give of myself, and I'll get there. And it was that the year that the Lilo and Stitch movie came out, and it was No One's Left Behind, Ohana family.
Right.
And all the kids rallied around him and said, I don't care if it takes us 2 hours to get there. We're not leaving him. We're all going to stay together on this journey.
Yeah.
And on the route there, and this is my point of the story, I asked him about barriers in life. And he said, there are no barriers in life. There are only things that are in your way that are meant to be tunneled under, climbed over, gone around, or simply destroyed from your path. So I don't have barriers. And, he passed away a few years ago. And the rest of his life, he spent helping other people when he was one of the people that should have been being helped. It was just an amazing journey that he had. And I'll never forget, the messaging and some of the things that he sent me afterwards, and where he went with what he was doing. And you're having sort of a life thing, but it's important. It's family. And how does that relate to where you are right now?
Well, Robert, I love it. My big message is saying yes to what's hard and allowing, like I had, wildfire back in 2007 that I lost my home to that. And then breast cancer. I had this moment where it was the universal 2x4, Spirit was like, okay, you've been asking, so it's time to move. And so often we take these circumstances that happen to us and we use it, to define us as like victims and all this other stuff. But in reality, life is happening for us always, as you know. And this is the message for everybody out there. It's like, take your circumstances and let it refine you at the deepest level. And I think I shared this with you too. My journey recently has been the extremes. It was extreme authenticity, getting to know who I was at a really deep heart level. And now it's extreme surrender, extremely letting go. Like we think we know what the word letting go means, right? And I was with a friend last night who I adore him. He's a dear friend, and he's a little freaked out about, having another relationship, right? Because we're all wounded in one way or another. This whole love thing keeps coming up, right? We all want love in our life, but we're a little bit scared. And I did this, and I was kind of like, how does it feel to hang on? Because we're hanging on like this, white knuckled. But what would it feel like if we just did this? And that's been my journey. And it's really challenging. And when you really go deep with it, you realize how much you really are holding on to. And so for me, Lisa means devoted to God, and I've been devoted to God for my whole entire life. But I go where spirit leads. So, and I know you do this too, Robert. It's like when we hear that hit, we hear that call, we say yes to it, and we go if it's aligned. And because every step we take, even if we don't understand it, and even if we can't see past, like if you're in the fog, right, you can only see right here. But that's all you need to see. You go there, and then you're given the next step, and the next step, and the next step. So, I've got like 8 things going on right now, big things, and I'm tired some days in my humanness. But in my soul,
about, of all the roads that there are in life that you can take, only the ones paved with love are the ones that take you to heaven.
I love that.
It's an important thing to remember that when you take those steps, sometimes the road or the journey is bumpy or there's rocks in the way. And, I hiked on the Appalachian Trail. I did 22 miles and 5,000 feet. And I was pushed past my physical and mental limits.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm going to be stuck out here tonight. And I don't have enough to handle this.
Yeah.
And the only way I can get back is if I changed my mind and set these little goals. And I thought, if I can just get to that rock, climb up to that one, I know it's going to hurt. I know it's going to be challenging, but when I get there, I'm going to rest. Yes. And when I got to that rock, I thought that wasn't as bad as I thought. You know what? I'm going to go for that next one. Yeah. And eventually I made it back to the cabin. I eventually made it all the way back to, it took hours. And climbing down is no easier than climbing up. Trust me. Yeah. It was just as painful. So, it's a whole different pain. And it was being on this rocky staircase for hours. And in the moment when I was getting dehydrated, I was out of water and everything, I stopped and I didn't realize I was missing all the beauty that I was watching.
I love that. That's so profound. That's what we all do, right?
And I stopped and I thought, if I go over there, I'm going to see something even more beautiful than what I'm seeing here. Yeah. And that's what drove me. And this was arduous. There were experienced hikers on the trail, and I passed a woman about a half mile before the end of the trail, and she had her hand on a tree, and she was screaming, shaking the tree. She was in such agony and pain and frustration. And I didn't have any water to give her or anything. And I said, you have only a half mile to go. Half mile. You can do this. And we're all in the same boat. We're all out of our supplies. We're all at our limit.
We are.
And then she came walking in about 10 minutes after me to the camp. And I told her, if I don't see you in 15 minutes, I will walk back and carry you back.
Yes.
Yeah. And she got back and she did it. And she was so proud. She stood there. We were all standing there with our sticks. And we said, we made it. And look what we accomplished today.
Such joy in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I love? I love how, whenever we're going through a challenge, there's always somebody or a group of people or something that shows up for us. Because I was talking about how, we talk about how spirit has our back, but in reality, spirit is our net. I mean, it's that's all there is. But like you showed up for her, you were her angel, you were her encourager, and you got her through. And I found that to be true as well. No matter what you're doing in life, there's always somebody. There's always somebody that shows up to help you, coach you. I was going to call you Coach Robert.
I posted a quote the other day. It was, an angel will always appear on your darkest of days.
Yeah.
You just need to be open to seeing it. And angels take many different forms. It can be just somebody offering you help. And I discovered that, when you're offered help, a lot of times we don't want to accept it. We're taught to give. But you also have to be able to receive. And that's the beauty of everything is allowing that to come back into you. So when you opened your hands, you did this, you were ready to receive what was coming rather than being closed off to that. So that's the lesson in what you just said.
Yeah. And that's a big one, because most of us give, do. But, it doesn't seem to be okay to receive, and it's okay to receive. So I love that story, and I love what you just said. It's so aligned. This mindset thing is critical. It's really a critical piece. I talk about, and I know you talk about as well, the spiritual connection, because that's really critical too, going within and finding the answers. I mean, for me, stepping back and stopping the doing and going within and being and hearing my inner wisdom and guidance is what actually started opening everything up for me. So that was my first key, of getting out of my head and stepping back. And then I could hear the next steps, Again, like you said, you have to be willing to see and then take action on it or be with it. I mean, most of us are resisting most of the time, right? And so we have to just say yes. Even if we don't know where we're going, what's going to happen. Right. I have no idea. I mean, isn't that how you live? I mean, from day to day, like we have our plans, right? Yeah. But oftentimes those plans there's a detour because there's a place we're supposed to go instead of where we think we're supposed to go. But you have to be open to doing it, saying yes, and then taking action on it, which a lot of people are like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And if whoever's tuned in right now, if you can put where you're from and just what the word love means to you in the box. If you can just type a comment and share what love means to you. We each have a view, and it's our own way of receiving that love. And love is such a simple word. It simply means everything. And it's these 4 letters. But if you really think deeply about what that means, and your connection to it. That's where all the beauty and the magic happens, and it's learning that. And I always see gratitude in that, and in what you have in your life, and giving thanks for the things that you do have. And, you know, I'm mentoring a youth in my community, and I just found out that he's completely 100% homeless right now. He's 17 years old. I couldn't imagine being 17 and being on my own. His family has no support. He has no relationship with them at all. So and he was arrested for stealing food to live. And that's an important lesson that, you know, when you have nothing. And he came in, and what we worked on was a vision board. And I had him take a picture of it because he has a phone. He just doesn't have any phone service. He only has Wi-Fi when he can get it. And I told him, just take that out and look at that, because that's where you're going. And he said, kind of with a smile on his face, he said, I'm going to have one great story to tell my kids one day, because I am going to go through this, and I have to be stronger and learn from this and become a stronger person from this. I mean, the temperature dropped last weekend was minus 14, and he didn't get indoors until midnight.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's pretty heavy duty stuff right there. Yeah. And thank you for being there and being his angel.
And keeping perspective of what you can do. And, you know, there's other, you know, programs, and he's got support staff in the city. So they're, you know, the judge and other people are there. My role in this is to not to provide food and shelter and those things, is to be there as a consistent voice in his life, something that it's the only stability he has is meeting with us, my wife and I.
What a gift.
Once a week.
Yeah. What a gift. You know, we're trying to train people to show up here on the Facebook business page. So that's going to take a little doing, because everybody's used to being on the personal page. Once we do that, I would love to, Robert, I would love to get more people to engage as they show up, like, you know, tell where they're from, also ask questions. And Robert, what you were saying, I'd love to share with that. You know, Robert has this list of words, and he can literally look up, you know, what there's like a quote for each word or whatever. You know, I have one for you. Because I've been, I'm friends with Dr. Joe Vitale, and he and I have been communicating quite a bit. And whenever we talk, when I had my first, you know, conversation with him, is he sprinkled some stuff on me. So I got into that miracle space, right? And so I'd love for you to look up the word miracle, because I want to speak into that just a little bit. This is all part of the mindset thing, but I just want to see what you have for that.
Well, I have some simple ones, because they're just right here.
Hit me up.
A miracle occurs every time that you share a smile.
It just happened.
That's part of it. There's a miracle in that. And I will find a couple. I'll find another one that's there. It's true that most of the universe is a dark place. So when we discover those incredibly brilliant new stars out there, it's like a miracle just happened. Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I felt when I discovered the beautiful light within everyone's hearts.
Yes. I love that. You know, the whole thing about this mindset, shifting the paradigm of people's mindsets, because we're so immersed in the humanness of this illusion of who we are and what's around us, right? We think that this is it, but it's like not even, it's not real. So for me, what really happened when I started going into that miracle space is that we're living in a quantum field of all possibility. There's nothing that isn't divinity. There isn't anything that's happening right now. You know, Joe and I were having a conversation that people are waiting for a miracle. But the thing is that you are a miracle. You're living in a miracle. What's happening in this moment is a miracle. It's all a miracle, right?
Yeah, and the quote, you know, the words are, you can wait for a miracle to happen, or you can just go create one by sharing everything that's in your heart.
I love it. That's so true. See, this is the shift, you guys. This is the shift, you know, to get into what's true and what's real, and the power that you really have as a co-creator with spirit, you know, and walking that walk and going where you're led, as opposed to being in the frustration and the worry and the thises and the that's, and woe is me. It's a whole mindset shift, and it really will shift your paradigm if you start seeing things in a different light. So that's what Robert and I are really here to do. And again, we're going to kind of I think this whole thing's going to evolve, right? We're going to have some surprises. We don't really know where it's going right now.
Guests, that we're lining up right now. So we've got some people. We're just really kicking this off, and this has all just been an idea, totally guided to make this happen. Yes. Could share some poetry on here. Who knows? We could
do some meditations. I was kind of led to do that. We could do all kinds of stuff on here. This should be really fun. This is going to be a great platform for people to just really get conscious and connected and start shifting. And I know you're going to bring through some amazing stuff because that's what you do too. Whenever you have those hits and, you know what you do to me. You just like say something and you're like, oh yeah. And blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what? So
I have a poem. It's Carpe Diem, and it's Rise up, for today is a brand new day. This one was made for you, so the angels say. Let go of your doubts and trample your worries. Something great awaits you, so you'd better hurry. The dawn's light shines with grace, and the air's always filled with love. Let peace fall upon you from the heavens above. Take this step out of the shadows, for you need to be bold. You're going glorious places, it's been foretold. Instead of just one day, make this the rest of your years. Your precious heart is worth it, so go there without any fear.
Amen. I say amen. All right. I love it. That was awesome.
The day, it's really about not letting this be one day, but being all of your days from this point forward. And when I was mentoring the youth, he said, I got to a good place and now I'm back to rock bottom again. I climbed and I fell back down. And I said, well, here's the thing that you're going to learn from that. You've already been at rock bottom, so you know what that is. Right. You know how to get out because you've already climbed up, and you know a better path to take, and it's not the one that you currently took, right? Yeah. So you may need to change your direction a little bit, maybe climb a different way and go there. And yeah, it does take a lot of work, and you can slip and fall in life, and that's part of it. But there's always something to learn. There's always a silver lining. And what he learned is that there are people there that have his back, that are going to help him. And his friends came together and gave him clothes so he could stay warm. Not only did they give him clothes, they gave him designer clothes so he could not look like a bum on the street, so he could get work and maybe get a job.
Wow, it's beautiful. Yeah, I love you speaking into the hitting rock bottom, because actually I'm working on a book about that right now. It's about running out of options and having nothing but spirit as your net. Yeah. And sometimes that's where we get to go because we're stubborn and we don't hear. And so sometimes spirit just goes, okay, right. Let's have you die to self. Let's take everything away. So there's nothing you can rely on. And that's kind of where I was at for a couple of months. And that's what really, developed my inner fire. But I love what you're talking about, because there are no failures. If each time you get taken on a detour in just a different direction, you learn something. And if you pick yourself back up again, you're not the same person that you were when you went into that failure, quote unquote, that first time, right? Yeah. We're always growing. We're always changing. And so you develop that, the courage, the tenacity, the fortitude, and you keep moving forward. So those are things that are just developed. I mean, everybody thinks we're supposed to have a life, right? That's just happy, joy, no problems, how boring would that be, Robert? I mean, come on, like my life would.
The interesting thing is, life takes a lot of things, to get through. It takes patience. It takes kindness. Mm-hmm. It takes fortitude. It takes work. Yeah. And the interesting thing about that is love takes exactly those same things. Yeah. Yes. It needs those pieces to all come together. And, when I think about love, it's that incredibly great, vast space between the beats of your heart. It's everything that if you just take that pause for a moment, and sometimes it's taking that breath and just relaxing for a moment. And I learned that many years ago. I was rushing through life, driving, trying to get from point A to point B. Yeah. And when you stop, it's like trying to run through a museum with your eyes closed. You're going to miss all the little beautiful things. Right. And when you stop, like when I was on that trail climbing, it was just the leaves on the trees. I would just take those in for a moment. and just keep walking. As much pain that I had in my legs and my thighs, and it was humid too. So my hat that I had on, I had sweat dripping off the brim. I've never had that happen in my life. I mean, I was dehydrated. I was rationing water at that point. I would have given anything for a cup of water. And I got to the top of this one peak, and you can only spend a couple minutes there. A, it's above the tree line. B, you're in the sun. C, the longer you sit there, you're not going to get back to
right. Exactly.
to where the water is. And this guy came up there, and he had a cup. His water bottle was filled with muddy water. He dug a pit and filled it, and was drinking that because they were out and they got desperate. But he said that there's a trailhead about a mile up, and off of that is supposed to be spring water, but you'll need something to purify the water. My son and I looked at each other and said, I don't care if we get sick. We're going to drink it anyway. And we got there, and just when we get there, there's another guy there who had a water purifier.
Of course.
And he just showed up. There was no one else around, just that guy.
Yeah, I love when that happens.
Right. And that was the best tasting water I've had in my life. It was like,
talk about synchronicity, right? Yeah. That's
and I
brilliant.
just drank it in, and I was just like, wow, this is just an amazing moment of gratitude. And then I made it back, and all I wanted was lemonade. I just wanted a big glass of lemonade.
Yeah.
I was thinking about lemonade for like 2.5 hours.
Oh gosh. So hopefully you had the best lemonade you've ever had when you guys.
They had to make a special batch at the cabin. It's in the Appalachian Trail. They have these huts, and there's a crew there. Yeah. And they only make lemonade like in the morning or something. And I looked at her, and I had this look on my face, and she said, "You really need lemonade, don't you?" I was like, yes, that's I do. Right.
We're going to do. I love that. That's so funny. It's so funny. I was laughing because we're so connected. You literally, I was literally looking at the tree outside of my window as you were talking about the leaves on the trees, because what I was doing was, I love this whole thing because I always tell people wherever I go, I just say, I'm love. I'm love. I'm pure love. And I love people, and I love people at a really deep level. And sometimes it hurts because you love so hard and not everybody loves you back, and all this stuff, right? So I love this conversation about love. What does that mean? Because I was looking at the trees. I think when I read The Power of Now or something initially, and I started getting into just staring at, meditating, being with in the present moment, like the trees, and watching the breeze. And that is love. As I look at that tree, that is love. As I look at you, that you are love. Everything around us is love. And so I love this conversation because we talk about the miracle space, but love is the foundation, right? By the way, I just saw what Swami wrote. Love to me is Lisa and Robert. I love him so much. How sweet is that? Oh my gosh. Yeah. But let's talk about that a little bit. Like I said, when we have more people come on and we get this going and we have more, comments and stuff like that, we'll have people ask questions and we'll get into a little more interactive stuff. But let's really set a foundation, because you're all about love as well. This is your journey. This is what you speak into. So I would love for you to share a little bit about your ideas about what love, love truly is. We have this idea, this human idea, love American style, right? Or falling in love with somebody. What does that mean? But that's not love. Let's hear what you have to say about the foundation of love.
Love is, for me, it is the very thread that holds the universe together. It is what connects each of us together. And I almost visualize that each of us have this little strand that it's like a network. So think of the internet, and we're all connected. Each computer is connected in that way. And that's discovering what that is. It's traveling on those little beads. And there are 3 keys to life. The first is to unlock the beauty that's in your heart, and that is love. That's where it is inward. And you need to have self-worth, self-understanding, self-awareness, and you need to love self. Because without that foundation, you can't share that love with others. Right. The second key is to unlock the dreams. That's what your passion, your love of where you're going and what you're going to be in life, and do what you love. That's part 2. And part 3, the key is freeing your soul to bring that love to someone else in some way. And by doing that, it's not just sharing your heart, it's leaving a legacy with someone else, with that love, something that you left behind after you're long gone. And that's what I set out to do. I said, we're only here for a short time. No one gets out of this life alive.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Right. Just we're waiting for something, exactly. That's
and what
so
we're
true.
doing is learning what that word means and how to share it, how to embody it, and how to create that love around you. And when you surround yourself with that, what you're surrounded with, you become.
Exactly.
So I set out that I'm going to have that circle, and a circle is an infinite loop. It has no beginning or end. Mm-hmm. That's what love is. Yeah. So I look at love as that sphere or circle, or if you have an angel, it would be the halo above the head. And when you draw the halo, it just means you're connected to the love in the universe, the source, everything that it is. Yeah. And that's what love is to me. I hope that answered your question.
It did. And I'm sure it answered a lot of people who are watching today, because everybody has a different perception. Again, if we're going to change people's paradigms, we get to have these discussions that get people to think a little bit about what they've been thinking and doing, right? Because for me, I didn't feel loved most of my life, and I didn't love other people because I didn't love myself. I used to always, be ticked off at people on the freeway. I'm like, I hate people, and I had a job where I had to be out amongst people when I was a band leader and stuff, and I was like, okay, I'll go talk to him for a minute, but it's a waste of my time. And the funny thing is that one of my foundational meditations that I was given years ago by Spirit, it's called the Love Expansion Meditation, where you literally sit and you send out these ripples of love across the universe and to everybody and everything. And a lot of people, when they first do it, they're like, nah, this is boring, whatever. So when they actually spend time doing it, that was the first thing that really started to open my heart to love, real, true, divine love, to the point where I started for 5 minutes, and then I would sit there for 30, because I started feeling this love, Robert, that I had never felt before. This feeling I couldn't label, I couldn't name it. All I knew, it was something I had never experienced. Right. And it was so deep and so profound. And once I started getting that in place, that love from Spirit, the love of who we are, that's when things started expanding out over a very short time of me really starting to love myself and embrace myself, seeing the love in others, like seeing their soul, right? I mean, because from an essence space, everybody is love, no matter what their outer looks like, and seeing that. And so anyway, it's been this journey of really getting to connect to divine love, which leads to self-love, which leads to love of others and things that you love that come towards you. But it can happen in a really short time if you actively, I've been asking my angels not too long ago. I was told to do that. Remember, can you talk about that a little bit? Because my understanding is that if you don't ask the universe or Spirit or your angels or your guides to help, they're always there to support. What is your knowledge on that? Because you have a lot of experience with angels.
I view, and this is how I see it. Yeah. Angels are guides.
Right.
They're messengers. So they'll give you the message, but you need to be listening. Yeah. You need to tune in. And they're there to also guide you on your path. However, you still need to walk the path.
Right.
You're here in this plane. You have the ability to do that. They can give you signs. They can give you the guidance, but it's up to you to ultimately walk the talk that they're giving you. And if you give fully to that. So I don't really pray in a way that, I need money.
Right.
Or something like that. I just pray that if you clear these burdens out of my way, I will do your work. Yes. I will write those words. I will help other people. I will do what I can to ease someone else's life. If you can clear this out of my way so that I can do that. And I will walk that path. And we're all on, a career and calling path. We all have a work life, your family, and all those things. And then you have your calling. And each of us have a unique talent to exploit for the greater good of humanity. It's up to us on this journey to figure out what that is. When you figure out what your unique talent is, now each of us have something that we're the best at in the world. There's always something. Maybe something's really silly.
Right.
But you can still use that to help someone else.
Yeah.
And I have a lot with superheroes, and I've actually been able to be a superhero at the children's hospital. So it was a very amazing transformational event in my life. But I found that superheroes all have something in common. They never, ever, ever give up on hope. They also have some unique gift that they feel is a curse in some way, and then they use it to help others.
It's a superpower.
That's what makes them a superhero. And somehow that they've got to use this, and they're different. We all have that. Each of us are a superhero in our own right. And that's why superheroes in the comic books are very popular, because we all see something in that. We see ourselves in some way. It's a reflection of who we are. So just so you know, I want everyone to know I'm Spider-Man. So I'm taking that role. I have been Spider-Man.
I knew there was something secretive going on.
I have a movie replica version of the costume, and I was asked to go to the children's hospital and wear this. And the kid, at one point, came over to me, and he was looking up at me. He goes, "My name's Mike," and he said, "I know who you are.
Oh, that's awesome.
You're Peter Parker." And at that moment, I'm like, I am what they see, and I have to bring that. And Spider-Man doesn't have a smile, so I had to smile with my whole body. And I ended up going on this floor, and the man that was leading us through there, that worked at the hospital, he was one of the directors. He said, "Can you wait here a moment? A young boy just passed away on this floor." Just as I got there, I've got to walk into this ward, and they couldn't see Spider-Man crying either. But I walked in, and this little girl is about 8 years old, is in the a room, and you can't go in the room because she's that sick. You have to be gowned and masked to go in. So the nurse I had a little postcard that said that quote, "All superheroes have something in common. They never give up on hope." And I signed it, and the nurse brought it in and read it to her. And she put it on her chest, and she put her head down, and she was smiling ear to ear. And then she blew me kisses from the doorway. And I just went like this with my hands, and I made that, and I pointed at her, and I was doing, waving, and you have to bring all of that. So Spider-Man has movements, and he's always moving. So I had to bring that, as much as my heart was hurting for this family that just lost their son. And that's life, that's reality, and that's when you bring that. And everybody in that hospital, they were all smiling as soon as I walked in the room. I had to own the Spider-Man.
Your energy, your energy, your intention, your gift. I love that. It's beautiful. And we should actually, that should be everybody's home play today, right? To try to find out
find your superhero. Find your inner superhero. Bring that to the world, and
I'm Athena. Okay, just saying.
Okay.
I may not have Athena's body, but I'm Athena in essence. But
I do have my Spider-Man's right over here. See, I have proof, because I got this. I got my sculpture. This is important because this guy.
I love that.
I've got the movie replica of that, and
I need to get an Athena.
Post one of these pictures one of these days, but that's my secret identity.
Oh wow. Okay, I was going to go someplace that is not spiritual. All right, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful, and I love how you bring your gift. And it's true. We do have superpowers. Each one of us have a superpower. And I think for me in particular, I think love and encouragement are my superpowers. Probably for you as well, right? I think we're very much aligned in that way. But it comes down to what I loved your answers about the angels. Like, I don't pray to receive either. I really just want to, get them to help me with things that I'm struggling with. But the whole thing that came up when you were talking was about service. We're here to serve. We really are. Yeah. And that's a whole nother conversation, perhaps for another day, because, some people get into what does true service mean? This whole idea about money, serving, giving to get, all this other stuff. But truly, when you get into that space, that love space of really being connected, and this is the surrender again. It's just, I'm here to serve. Just use me. Remember Marianne Williamson? I used to go see her at the Saban in LA when she'd come all the time, and that was her prayer, every morning, just use me. And so if you truly start a conversation with spirit, even if you don't know what direction you're going, even if you don't understand what you're going through, even if you're a newbie and you really don't feel that you've had any kind of enlightening thing happen to you, right? If you start asking the question.
Yeah. Right.
If you start saying, you there?
Yes.
Or are we? Okay.
Yeah, it just froze up a little bit. I think we had some bandwidth.
Well, technology, but doing techie stuff all the time. We just roll with the punches, right? Yeah.
But I want to, Andrew just piped in, so appreciate the comment and thanks for sharing on that.
Hey, and I'm seeing all these. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See who's up there, and if you want to give anybody a shout out there.
Well, I know Andrew. He's amazing. I ran into him at a networking event, and we had a soul connection, which was amazing. He's an amazing being of light and love. And like I said, the people are kind of quiet today, but we'll get them going. Don't worry.
Well, I love the thought on ego too, because it's not about that. It's I have a couple of words that come in from that. Just because your name's in lights doesn't mean you're any more enlightened than the bulbs. And
I think I heard that one from you before, and I love that one. Yeah.
So I have these words, you're adored in all of heaven. The angels know your name. You don't need your name in lights to know this kind of fame. Help someone in need and lend them your heart and hands. Love is the royalty you're bestowed, revered in all of the lands. So it's even better than Bitcoin. I'm just saying.
That's right.
But the greatest wealth that you have is love. It's something that is so abundant in your life that you can never run out of it, no matter how much you give away. And in fact, it comes back tenfold in many ways, the abundance from that, and just giving and being present to someone else. That's the gift. Your presence is the present.
Yes.
It's giving of your heart and being there for that person and helping people that are in need. I had a fellow inspirational person, author, and she had trouble trying to get her book converted to Kindle. Well, I spent 6 hours this weekend formatting the book for her, and she tried and it didn't work out. And I just took care of it. It's just something you need to do. It's important to that person to get their word out. It's going to help other people. What better gift could I give than that? And, it was a little bit of time, and I had fun putting it together for them. And just to see her face light up at the end, and I hand off this file and it's ready to go. Because I'm a digital person. I have the tech, so I know.
Like I said, I'm so grateful you're in my life. He's like, Robert's like giving me this stuff, and he's like, you want to add this to the video? And I'm like, I hate technical stuff. You want to just do it? And he's like, I'll just do it for you. So we're a good team, because I'm a flowy Pisces who doesn't want to do technical stuff, and you're stuck with it. Woo! And I know you're generous, so I don't want to take advantage of that. Not really, but yeah, I love that you talk about that, because it is about contribution. It's not about giving to get. It's not about what you can get from other people. There's there's so many, as we're speaking, I'm going to go back and start we can write down topics, all these topics that we could really delve into in a deeper way for people, because they're all mind shifting things that we can talk about. But giving from the heart, generosity, there are boundaries, correct? Like you can't say yes to everybody, but you feel into what's true for you in the moment, what's going to serve somebody, right? So there are those kind of things as well. But yeah, it's just, you keep talking about love and I just keep feeling it. Like if you just, like right now, looking outside my window at the tree, I feel love. Looking here, right now, seeing love. Let me just, because I know we have a few minutes left, but what's coming forward, a question for you, because I love to get your perspective, because we're still just, feeling each other out here and all that kind of stuff. What do you feel about, or what is your intuitive hit about when people look at the world situation? Like, I don't watch television, and some people will say to me, well, you're burying your head in the sand because you don't want to see what's going on. And I'm like, no, that's not true at all. My heart goes out to people and the situations, but I can't fix them all by myself. And for me to get into a space of being incredibly sad or angry isn't going to serve anybody, right?
Right.
So what's your perspective on seeing the world with love, even when it's imperfect and it's flawed, and there are a lot of quote unquote negative things going on? Yeah,
There's
what
a
do you
lot
think
of
about that?
difficulty, yeah, and it's
Yeah.
difficult perspective. But
Yes.
you already answered the question. And what you said is, I see everything that's going on. And what I
Yeah.
mean by see everything is you need to see the beauty in even the most horrific moments that have happened out there. When there's these terrible bombings or shootings, I see people who have risked their lives to help other people, people that have given of
Yes.
themselves, where everything did not matter at that moment, but to help someone else.
Yes.
Didn't matter race, religion, creed, or anything. That's what I see when I see those moments. I see the incredible acts of humanity and the acts of compassion that occur during those moments, and then the incredible amount of people that help afterwards. 99.999% of the people on this planet are beautiful souls, and you need to
Yes.
believe in
Agreed.
that.
Yes.
And yeah, in this day and age, we get news and information pumped at us at the speed of light. But we can also pump out something else at the speed of light, and it is love. And it is that kindness, and it is sharing something positive and reaching out to somebody. And your brain is the fastest computer on this planet. Your heart's the processor for it. So put those two things together, and you have the greatest computer we have, and it's designed to compute love. Allow it to compute that love. That's the key.
That's a beautiful answer. You know, what it brought to mind was how we don't always see, oops, sorry, we have an echo. How do we stop that? I'm going to turn my mic on, see if that helps. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was thinking how, the media often puts attention on all the bad things. And from time to time, we see a child was, found under the rubble of something or other, and all these people came together. But I think you're right. I think a lot of those things happen on a really great scale, and we just aren't made aware of it. We're not told about it. So we focus on what we see, or hear about in the media that tends to be not that. And I agree with you that most people are good. And I think that that's a really incredible mindset to hold, and an intention and an affirmation to hold, because what we believe and what we say and what we think is what we create. So I love that. That was absolutely perfect and aligned. And
yes.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, mindset reset is not resetting your thoughts. It's changing your perspective on your thinking.
Yes, right?
And that's what this is all about. It's about putting that kind of grace into everything that we have, that we see, that we process, and pulling yourself out. I always have interesting views on perspective, because as if you were stuck in a hole, the perspective is that darkness that's around you. And if you're standing outside of it, you might be in a forest and lost. But if you're on the mountain looking down at all of that, you don't even see the hole, and all you see is a beautiful valley. It's the same way when you process life and in general and look at stuff. If you see that you're stuck in the darkness, in a shadow, the light is creating that shadow.
Right.
You need to step out of that in order to see the light again. And if you pull yourself back from that, you see the perspective of, oh, well, there's the light shining down. That's what's creating the darkness that you're in. You just need to turn around. You're going to see the light. Make a change. You can't expect things to change if you haven't made an effort to do that. And I love this example of saying, have you ever been stuck on the side of the highway? Like, my car broke down. Well, why aren't you still there today? Because you took action, or somebody helped you, or you did something. But you're not stuck there right now. You got home. You made it home.
You're here, you're breathing.
It may have been a long, bumpy ride without your car, because it might have been totaled. It might have been, that's the end of that car. And I've left many a car.
On the side of the
road. Objects on the side of the road. And somehow I made it home. And, at that moment, you're frustrated in that moment. You can have difficulty in that moment. But when you realize that people come together to help you, and there were people there that helped me when I was in that situation.
Well, I think I shared with you. I'm just sharing. I had a couple of things come to mind. Like when you fly, I love flying because I like to look down. When we're stuck in our little room in our home in our town, and all these things seem so big. Oh, well, he said this and she said that. And oh, it's awful. And you get up in the air and you're like, you can't even see any people. Right. And it's like, well, where's the problem now? I don't know. Because I can't see it when I look down, which I love. I love flying so much. But I also wanted to share just quickly, I had a couple of angel stories that I think I had shared these with you, where this whole, like delving into a whole different realm of possibility, not what we see. Like you said, seeing behind what we think we see.
Right.
Because I think I told you when I was about 16, I was in a car and I was stuck alongside of the road. My car broke down. And when I was 16, because I'm almost 59, right, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have any way to communicate other than a payphone. Here I am, a 16-year-old girl stuck in a car on the side of the road. And this car full of guys pull up behind me, 3 guys. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. And I was like, uh-oh, I'm in deep trouble. And within about 30 seconds, a huge tow truck with a big man pulls up in front of me. Now, how did that happen? Where did that come from? Right. A lot of people would have said, hey, wow, what a coincidence, synchronicity.
Yeah, I had the same. My wife and I were driving. We had this car that the gas gauge was broken. So we just know the number of miles that you could go.
Yeah.
And it was well under that and ran out of gas in the highway out in the middle of nowhere. And I pull over and my wife says, what's wrong with the car? And I'm like, I don't know. I think it might be out of gas. And then it's a hot day and I'm thinking, going through the 10-point check, I'm going to have to walk miles to get a gas can. I'm going to have to, do I have enough money to buy a can to get back here? And as I'm saying this to her, she said, did you hear that? And I said, yeah. And it was, do you need gas? And I kind of did this, and there was a pickup truck and a guy with a gas can standing there. And he said, I've been driving around waiting to pay it forward for 2 years, and you guys are the lucky recipient of this gift.
See, this is the miracle space, you guys. I'm laughing because it's so beautiful and it's so profound, and you too can live from this space as well if you get out of this humanness and this stuckness and this rigidity. If you just allow this. Miracles and magic.
The last poem that I have for tonight, and we're going to wrap up soon,
okay,
is called Angels Among Us.
Yes.
And I wrote this probably 2 or 3 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
Judging by where it is in my document.
Yeah.
So it is titled Angels Among Us. Angels walk among us, those you may never see. They witness every act of kindness, only love they can foresee. Mm. Divine messages they deliver, each comes with a loving kiss. They hold you through your sorrow, and they rejoice when you're in bliss. Mm. Their smiles create the daylight, their hugs wrap you in love. Mm. Every kind word you utter calls them from above. You don't need a halo to be one, or wings to travel so light. Just love with all your heart, and say a prayer for someone tonight.
I love those
Dr.
poems.
Seuss moment for you.
I love those poems. It makes me feel all warm. I love that. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I'm thinking because Robert and I are going to be doing 2 shows a month. We're not sure of exactly what's happening because I'm driving across. There are a lot of things happening, right? And it'll all settle, but we will come to you with 2 shows a month. Yes. But I'm thinking it'd be really fun, Robert, for us to give them again that play work, the home play, like yes. What does love mean to you? Or coming up with some questions for us and topics for us that you'd love to hear addressed because there are so many of them. So what do you want to leave them with today, other than what does love? Maybe what does love mean to me, and what is my superpower, or which superhero am I?
If you just take a moment to think of your unique gift that you need to exploit for the greater good of humanity, and what is that? And if it's your beautiful smile, that's great. Bring it out there and use that gift as often as you can. We each have that beautiful tool, but you have something that you bring to the light in this world that you can share with someone. So share with us what your gift is, what's your divine superhero gift, and what does love mean to you?
Yes, I would love to hear those answers. Let's see. Now, because we're going to be leaving the broadcast, right? Where do you want them to send? Like, let me give my email. You give your email. Let's have a wait.
Right on. They can post a comment right on.
Oh, they can, right? Because this is ongoing. For the replay, they can put it on there, right? After we're done.
That on there.
That's right. When they watch the replay. And okay, cool.
You can DM us, direct messages right on our Facebook pages, whatever you want to do. But if you just post a comment on there, I do read all the comments. So we'd love to hear from you.
Ditto. Absolutely. Okay, let's leave it at that. Well, it was such a joy connecting with you today, and it was so awesome to have you, those of you that are on the call, and also I know there are going to be a lot of people watching the replay, so it'll be fun to see how this kind of expands and evolves. But I think we have a lot of juicy things that we can discuss to shift people's mindsets. So I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you, Robert Clancy, my best ever co-host and friend. It was a pleasure and a joy. All right, you guys, thanks for being here. Any last words, Robert, or are you good?
I am good. Just go out there and bring that beautiful smile to someone. And your goal tomorrow and today is tomorrow morning when you wake up is share a smile with yourself, share it with the first person you see, and give them a hug and a kiss.
Yes.
As long as it's appropriate, just saying.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, I just want to say your puppy was incredibly quiet the whole time.
She's still here.
How amazing is that? She's chomping on a toy somewhere. I love that. Yeah. All right, you guys. I love you so much. Love you, Robert. We will see you soon. Okay. Thanks. Bye, guys.